how to kill people. It's easy.
I think that's gonna be good.
He has a lion. No! It was stupid. Never mind.
Oh, did it work? Can I?
Yes!
Oh, sorry.
Take that, game. Yes. Oh, that felt good.
All right, can you hear us now? Because something else was unplugged, and I plugged it back in. And I'm kind of having a good feeling about this now. We're audible. We're there. We're here. Yes. Oh, man. God, I've spent a total of 2 hours on this stuff now, but we're up in the air. We're audible. Welcome, everyone. We've got quite the few viewers here. To those of you who've been around for a while, welcome back. Glad to see you here on this wonderful Friday evening in which we will be playing... you might have heard me mention it before, one of my favorite games of all time. To those of you who are new to the channel, we're Value. We stream also on behalf of Leiden University in a joint effort also known as Streaming the Past, where we explore the potential of Twitch as a scientific communication platform and the awesomeness that hides on the crossroads between gaming and history. And tonight, as many of you will probably know, I am joined by the one and only Dr. Ilona Bausch, university lecturer here in Leiden, and someone with a deep past, herder in archaeology also. You can... If you want to, yeah, that's where the viewers are basically. So welcome all. Today we will be diving into Ghost of Tsushima, a Sucker Punch Productions game, an awesome game set in Kamakura era Japan, where we'll be following the ups and downs of Jin Sakai's noble quest aimed at vanquishing the Mongols and expulsing their forces from the island of Tsushima. We've got a pretty wild journey ahead of us because I'll probably be jumping between save files a bit so I can show all the cool stuff and have Dr. Bausch comment on all the cool stuff with more cool stuff, because the more cool stuff you've got, the better, of course.
Sophie, thank you so much.
Hello.
It's a great pleasure to be here. It's my very first time looking at this, doing this game, so I'm very excited. So I hope everybody can hear me properly now. I try to put the mic closer to my mouth. Can you hear me?
I think we're good.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
Loud and clear, says Ralph.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And thank you for the Japan Studies students who are present. It's a great pleasure to see you here as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I said, we're playing a Kamakura era set game on my PS4, which I've, through great pains, managed to hook up to the Elgato and all the software we're using to stream. So I'm hoping, again, that the audio will be functional as will be the video. But please let us know if everything's up to snuff or if it's not. At least this is, well, it's part of my gaming library. Oh, God. No. I'm a fool. The disc isn't in there. Right. I am the biggest idiot ever. Shame on me. So, a new issue has presented itself in the sense that the game we're going to play is not currently in my PS4. Right. I'm having one of those days. I can cycle back to my room right now. That will take me about 20 minutes back and forth to fetch the disc. I am very, very sorry. Elden Ring time. Well, that's a bit of a waste of Dr. Bausch coming all the way here and her many guests. Yeah. So, Dr. Bausch, are you okay with me leaving the studio for a bit to fetch that disc? Because otherwise...
Well, this is exciting. I've never done this before. I I can try and talk a little bit, but I don't know how exciting that will be. Just me chatting away on not very much at all.
Well, I've been chatting with you for the afternoon, and that was very exciting. So, people in chat. This is Dr. Ilona Bausch. She knows a shit ton of things, respectfully. I'm sure she has a lot to share. I can give you a cool backdrop to talk. I don't know. Oh, God, I'm an idiot. I'm a fool. Hold on. These are all screenshots I took in the game. Let me find you a good one.
Yeah, find me a good one.
Okay, I have many. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Just if you see one you like, just tell me, and I'll. Oh, I have one taken at a gravesite.
Yes, please. Gravesite.
Okay, hold up. It's a recent grave. This is a derelict temple. This is snow. This is all nonsense. This is another temple. It's a boat. More boats. Hold on. Where is the gravesite? I take too many pictures, I wholeheartedly admit.
Oh, this looks good too.
This one's pretty cool too, huh?
Religious, so this is good. Yeah.
Where's the gravesite? Wait. Oh.
The one with the rope.
Okay, so this is a memorial stone for some long forgotten samurai.
Do the one with the rope, the rocks and the rope. That is very religious. So.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I can always find something.
Okay, give me 1 second and I just double check if I have the gravesite at the ready. Yes. Okay, so.
Okay, that might work as well.
There, I'll make myself invisible for a moment.
Okay. I have to say, what I see on my little screen of my little laptop, I do see everything with about 5 to 10 seconds delay.
Yes,
so
that's normal.
That is normal. Okay, that's just confirming. Thank you for being here. Anyway, but I'll try to ad-lib a little bit.
Thanks for the gift sub, Ralphus.
Yeah.
Before you start,
yes.
I can hand you my controller. I can explain to you how you can just scroll through all the images I took, all the pictures I took, and you can just see and cherry pick things that seem interesting to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is a samurai praying at a gravesite. That's very inspirational, I think. Well, let me go off and ad-lib in that case, and I apologize for the randomness of this. Let me start first. Some people who know me, like Sophie, and perhaps some of my students if they're still here. My specialization is actually in archaeology. So I met Sophie when I was giving a guest lecture for the archaeology department, and I was talking about the meaning of archaeology and specifically the prehistoric Jomon period in the present day. Can everybody hear me? So the thing to know about Tsushima, I have to confess, I've never played this game before, so I'm actually very, very excited as a noob to be introduced to this game. But the thing to know about Tsushima is that it has a very long history of showing the connections, the contacts between the Korean peninsula and the Japanese island of Kyushu. So you may already know this, but Tsushima is an island. It's not an extremely large island, but it's very elongated, and it's very mountainous. It's a very mountainous island. Actually, it's closer to the Korean peninsula. If you go to the city of Busan, the very important city of Busan, there are many sites from prehistory as well, and one of those sites is a shell midden site. It was an ancient settlement site from the Chulman period, which is the counterpart of the hunter-gatherer Jomon culture. And from the Jomon culture, people actually were in touch. And if you stand at this site called Tongsamdong, a big occupational site with lots of shells which contains the bones of the animals that people were eating over hundreds and thousands of years, or hundreds of years basically. The people were living there. So this is an archaeological site, and if you look out from that site over into the bay, you can actually see Tsushima. So Tsushima is closer to the Korean peninsula than it is to Japan. It's only about 50 kilometers away. And of course, this really closeness is very important to remember if you think later on about the invasion. Only 50 kilometers away from the Korean peninsula. And of course, the Korean peninsula was the starting point for the Mongol invasion. So that's not a very, very great distance at all. And especially since they actually arrived at Tsushima, historically speaking, there are historical accounts that for the first Mongol attack, they actually arrived at 2 a.m. You can imagine they didn't get much warning at all. So 50 kilometers away from the Korean peninsula, and if you stand on Tsushima and you look to the south, another 50 kilometers away is the island of Iki. And Iki is actually much closer to the Japanese island of Kyushu, close to Hakata. So about 20 kilometers out of the coast of Hakata, of Fukuoka, on the island of Kyushu. So it's funny how Tsushima is actually much closer to Korea, whereas Iki, which apparently also features as a side story or an extra story in this game, Iki is much closer to Japan. But both islands, and actually various others like the Goto Island group, have been traditionally a stepping stone between the people living in the Japanese Isles and the mainland, especially represented by the people living in the Korean peninsula. So just boring you from an archaeological perspective, the first context, so I've been looking a little bit as an archaeologist into the prehistoric context, and the very first contexts were actually already starting about 7,000 years ago, so 5,000 BC. And that's kind of exciting because just before that time there had been a very interesting prehistoric civilization starting in Kyushu. And they had beautiful potteries, and they started, despite being quite primitive hunter-gatherers theoretically, they started to have a really nice settled culture. And they lived in the south of Japan, south of Kyushu Island. But unfortunately, there was a major volcanic eruption just south of the modern prefecture of Kagoshima. And this was such a catastrophic eruption that for several hundred years, this up-and-coming Jomon culture with beautiful potteries, sedentary villages about 8,000 years ago, was completely halted. And for a very long time, archaeologists believed that all the people had just been wiped out, and the people closest to this area actually were. But lots of people survived, and there was sort of a comeback. The people started having another interesting culture, basically. People were accumulating again, living in permanent villages, making slightly different but also nice pottery around 7,000 years ago. And probably these people had been very resilient and going to different areas in Japan. And this also meant that they were very resilient and very, how can I put this? They were not deterred by much. And this was a time of climatic warming. This was a time of climatic warming, and the temperatures rose, but so did the sea levels. So all of a sudden they had more sea. But despite that they found this scary, they actually found this exciting. This is actually the time, so 7,000 years ago, when people living in the Kyushu island were getting excited about the possibilities of looking at a sea, even a deep sea, like the Korea Strait, the Strait of Korea. It's a deep and dangerous sea, and this is also why finally the Mongol invaders were so thoroughly defeated by the weather circumstances and by the sea. It's a dangerous sea, but they somehow saw it as a highway, and they started exploring. So these people living in Kyushu, they had boats, they had small canoes, but quite possibly, if you look at, for example, Papua New Guinea, there are ways to stabilize even the smallest boat-made canoe. And they sailed all the way to the Ryukyu Islands, which really, if you look at it, are very far to the south. And some of these islands, this island chain of the Ryukyu, the Okinawa island chain, they actually extend almost all the way to Taiwan, so they're really quite far away. But we find some of their pottery on some of the islands, notably the island of Okinawa itself. So they had very specific pottery that archaeologists call the Sobata pottery. It's very recognizable. And so they went to Ryukyu, but they also crossed the Korea Strait. First, they went via Iki, then they went via Tsushima. And lo and behold, there were already people there, because the people from the Korean peninsula, not the Jomon people, but people that we call Chulman, they were already living there as well. And they were very well versed already, because they hadn't had a major disaster wiping out most of their population, putting all their efforts back to zero basically. So these were already a little bit more advanced. They were having quite a stable culture, and they were very, very good at the deep sea fishing, because the Strait of Korea, very, very strong currents, deep sea, and you find it's a paradise for fishers basically. So you can fish. You need to have specifically strong and large fish hooks. You need fishing spears, but you can fish for sharks and for large fish like amberjack, which is like a yellowtail. If you know yellowtail from the sushi, that is a kind of that's a very desirable large fish that can feed many people. And also a tuna, of course. Tuna, very, very popular for sushi. Massive fish, and they're really, really good for catching and feeding most of your village with. So mackerel, horse mackerel, tuna, amberjack, big red sea bass. So if you actually take the risk of going out as a fisherman, you can have a whole wealth of fish to catch. And actually that was the very start. So the Jomon people from Kyushu, they learned fishing techniques from the Jomon people, and from that moment on they started trading, and they traded via mainly via Tsushima actually. So archaeologists have found many sites at Tsushima Island where their habitation, their villages, and there is evidence both of the Korean Jomon culture, so from the Korean peninsula, the hunter-gatherers, but also the hunter-gatherers from Kyushu, the Jomon people. So they were basically sharing it and using it as a trading post. And Japan being very volcanic, they have resources like obsidian, volcanic glass. Volcanic glass is excellent for making arrowheads and making spear points. And it was very much desired by the people living in the Korean peninsula. So this was a very great asset for the trade. So we find both on these shell-midden settlement sites on the Korean peninsula and in on Tsushima, we find a lot of evidence of both of the obsidian and of pottery sherds that belong to this Sobata culture from the Jomon, the Kyushu. And on the other hand, through the ages, you find evidence of this interaction, mainly through pottery. So we find pottery from Korea. It sort of has a pattern that's called a comb pattern, that they have certain incisions that were made as if you have a comb and you put it to the wet clay, and then you make incisions and you have these very geometric patterns, basically. And that was very typical for these Korean peninsular hunter-gatherers. So you find basically exchanges of pottery, you find exchanges of materials like obsidian. There is a Korean archaeologist called Ha-In-soo, and he has theorized that the practice of making bracelets out of shells, clam shells, that you make a hole in the middle and then you sort of polish them down and you can make really nice bracelets. And these start propping up more and more at sites in the Kyushu area. So he hypothesizes that the Korean peninsular peoples were making these bracelets also to sort of sustain their trade, their interaction with the Jomon people. So through the ages, actually, from about 7,000 years ago, so 5,000 BC, there's sort of peaks and decreases as well of interaction between these two peoples. But it's sort of always going, but sometimes it's a little bit more intense, and they're teaching each other about fishing techniques. And actually fishing has always remained a very important occupation for the people living on Tsushima, because in fact, even after the introduction of rice agriculture, at some point what happens is that the Chomen on the Korean peninsula, their culture sort of gets replaced, so to speak, by people who are coming from the north via northeast China, Manchuria. And those are people that have knowledge about bronze making, and they also have knowledge about rice agriculture. And first they settle in Korea, and then later, and quite possibly, there's various reasons why they actually make this migration to Japan. So they're partially in Korea, but they also come to Japan. The Mumen people, who would later turn into the Yayoi people, they move via Tsushima and Iki and Goto and all these other islands. Possibly, there's one theory that because of the climate getting colder, sort of in the second and first millennia BC, that it was more difficult to sustain rice agriculture in Korea, which is much colder. Kyushu is actually quite warm and humid, so people going to Kyushu soon, my students, be warned, it's quite humid there, quite warm and humid, and Korea is a little bit colder. So one theory is that they went over because it was more difficult to sustain the rice paddy agriculture in Korea getting colder. But another theory is, if we're talking about the first millennium BC, this is actually in mainland China, the Zhou dynasty, and the end of the Zhou dynasty, the Iron Age dynasty. It was earlier in the Zhou dynasty, it was a time of Confucius and Mencius and the great Confucian scholars. It was also the rise of Buddhism. But unfortunately, what is happening is that there's a great war. There was great wars between all little kingdoms in what we now call China. And only in 221 BC, we see the first emperor of China, he of Terracotta Army and Great Wall of China fame. The really, really scary person who really, really unifies everyone into one big China. But that's only 221 BC that this happens. And there is a great deal of warfare and displacement in China happening just towards the end of the Zhou dynasty in the first millennium BC. So one theory, which I actually believe is quite reasonable, is that what happens if there are lots of wars? People get displaced and people try to find a better place to live, a quieter place to live. So whole families, they start migrating to Japan via the stepping stones of Tsushima and Goto Island and Iki Island, all these little islands dotting the Korea Strait. So they're coming over to Japan, and they're arriving in Japan towards what we call the final Jomon, so in the first millennium BC. And they're actually really happily invited. They're sort of, we can see in the archaeological record that there's actually coexistence of the Jomon people who are living in Kyushu and the newcomers that we would later call, that we call the Mumin. But together, the people who still lived in Japan from the Jomon, the hunter-gatherers, they sort of mix, they come together with the people from the migrating people from the mainland, and they sort of become one. But because there are so many people coming, both in this period, the Yayoi period, and then later in the Kofun period, what actually happened is that genetically, there's only a very small percentage of Jomon heritage in most modern Japanese people, with the exception of the Ainu. But so what happens is that we have a new culture, the Yayoi, and they brought lots of elements from that culture that arose on the Korean peninsula. And they have things like specific burials. They no longer have pit burials, but they have a kind of dolmen like our hunebedden in the north, in Drenthe, a little bit like that, but a bit smaller. So they have dolmen burials made of rock, or they have cyst burials where they make a kind of coffin through slabs of stone that are placed into the burial pit. And they also, for very slowly, we see a kind of social differentiation that was not there before. And you start seeing small burial mounds for the most important leaders. And they all bring different skills and different language. Language is a very important perspective. There have been many studies that indicate that actually Japanese, as we know now, has started with the Yayoi. It's incredibly important. The language of the Japanese was the language that was brought from the mainland, and it was brought by the agriculturalists, not by it. So there's barely anything from the hunter-gatherers left. I've spoken to linguists, and they told me actually we're not quite sure if there's anything left of Jomon language in the modern language. It starts with the migrating agriculturalists who started out from northeastern China, then came to Korean peninsula, and then finally ended up in Japan. And that's sort of the basis of our Japanese. So so they have these new skills. They have rice paddy agriculture. It's a completely new lifestyle. So this also means that they have a completely new religion. They also have skills to make bronze, how to melt down bronze and put the molten material into molds and make metallic objects. Their clay use of ceramics is completely different. Their religion is completely different. They have completely different social values as well. So they start out being quite happily merging together with the local Jomon people, but not all Jomon people liked them very much in other parts of the culture, because the culture sort of spreads throughout the country. And there are actually, especially in the north, there are areas where local Jomon people, but their local cultures, they want nothing to do with these newcomers. So they're not happily received everywhere. And in fact, in the north of the country, Tohoku area, there is a great deal of resistance, and we actually have a very strong revival of Jomon culture for the longest time. So basically their conversion to Yayoi happens at least 600 years later. And in Hokkaido, never happens. Never any Yayoi. Completely different development in Hokkaido, but I'm not going to bore you with that. Completely different development in Ryukyu as well. We're talking basically mainland Japan, is Kyushu, island of Shikoku, and the island of Honshu. This is where it happens. This is where the Yayoi happens, the new culture of rice agriculturalists. And they also have learned how to spin and weave silk from the Chinese. So basically from the northern Chinese, they learned their bronze metallurgy. They learned the weaving of the silk. So we have a new culture coming in, and very slowly you get social stratification. And at some point, the social stratification gets bigger and bigger. And some of you may have heard of Himiko. Himiko was a very important person who kind of unified a lot of fighting clans, basically, because what you get is sort of a chiefdom system. There's social stratification, you get a chiefdom system, and of course, fights break out. If you have land and you have a very, very well thought out agricultural system, people will want to have your land, they want to have your surplus, so there's lots of fights breaking out. And what happened originally is that Himiko was, according to the chronicles, she was basically elected because she was a person of great shamanic power. She was a very talented shaman, and she was communicating with the gods. And her words were translated by her little brother. So she ruled as basically a virgin queen, a kind of Queen Elizabeth I. And her words were translated by her brother, and she lived in a big palace, and it was palisaded, and many people were happy because she brought peace after a lot of infighting. And the country was called Yamatai. And we know all that because there were Chinese who visited Japan. And they also spoke about Tsushima, in fact, and they also spoke about Iki. So there's two chronicles, the Weiji, the annals of the Wei dynasty, who talks about Himiko and the country of Yamatai. But there's also the chronicles of the three countries, the Sankokushi. And they talk about Tsushima Island. And in Tsushima Island, there also was supposed to be a realm. And in Iki, it was also Ikikoku. That was also supposed to be a realm. So there's various little realms led by kings that are found towards the end of the Yayoi period. Now we're talking about the 3rd century AD. So we're talking AD now. 250 AD, this is when Himiko is supposed to have died. So we have all these small little countries, and archaeological evidence of them shows that they had a lot of interaction with the Han dynasty, Chinese Han dynasty. So from roughly 200 BC to 200 AD. And what we see is lots of bronze mirrors. Lots of bronze mirrors that were very, very important ritually speaking, because they were supposed to drive away the demons. What you also start seeing is jade and other pendants in the shape of a koma, magatama, and I'm actually wearing one around my neck. I'm not sure if you can see it. This also became extremely important from the late Yayoi period onwards, to the point it's actually one of the 3 sacred treasures of Japan. A bronze mirror, a jade bead, and also very important because state formation also requires a lot of warfare, a sword. So also a bronze sword is also one of the 3 treasures of Japan. So this all basically originated in the Yayoi period, a very important part of Japanese history, cultural heritage, and religion, the religion of Shinto, of the gods. So protective gods are extremely important, and you have to keep them happy. And during the period of state formation of the Kofun, you have mounded tombs, and the little kingdoms, they swallow each other up and become bigger and bigger. You have kings who really have serious fights with each other. And in the end, one in mainland Japan, in the Osaka, they win. Oh, I think she's back. I hope I didn't bore you too much with the archaeology, but there is a lot of this archaeology is actually found on Tsushima and Iki as well. I wish I could show you. But yes, burial mounds are found as well, and dolmen. And yes, the burial that our dear samurai is kneeling in front of course, would have been a Buddhist burial. So by this time, all the burials would have disappeared. Once Buddhism is introduced, of course, everybody's just cremated. And all these new changes entered Japan via Tsushima and Iki. Buddhism also was first introduced via the stepping stones, via Korea, came into Japan, came into Kyushu. Kyushu is really, Hakata is really the gateway for all new developments in Japanese culture. So Kyushu is extremely important. I'm very happy that some of my students are going there. So, I have many books that I can recommend about the archaeology of Tsushima in particular. I have a very dear friend called Barbara Seyok. I'll just write her name down. And she has written wonderful things, not just about the early archaeology. What happened? I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to, because I haven't got an account yet. But maybe I can. Maybe you can contact me, and Sophie can sort of send my general Gmail or my humanities mail later, and you can send me something, and I can give you some recommendations. I've actually, this is why I've been droning on about it for so long. I've done an article on the Jomon interaction between Korea and Japan, but my friend has done a lot about the Yayoi and the Kofun period. A great source on archaeology in all of East Asia is Gina Barnes. Gina Barnes has done a great thing on the archaeology of East Asia. So look her up. She's actually in the library of University Leiden. So you can find her, Gina Barnes. She's fantastic. But yeah, everything basically has come via the stepping stones of Tsushima and Iki through to Japan. And if you're in Nagasaki, it's very easy to go to Hakata, to Fukuoka basically. And Fukuoka has so many exciting things. You find a golden seal that was the proof that the Yayoi kings needed to show that they were in touch with the other world, and they had a legitimization to become kings. But in reality, it was a seal that they derived from the Chinese of the Han dynasty. Of course, their people didn't know it. It was a seal from the gods that gave them the power to be ruling Japan. So many exciting things happened in Kyushu. So many exciting archaeological sources and finds there. And as we shall talk about a little bit more later, by the time of course of the Kamakura period, Kyushu was still very important. Hakata and the Dazaifu. Dazaifu was the administrative center, only second to Kyoto and later Kamakura. Very important Dazaifu, because this was the locus of the interaction with China, and China became, during the Heian period, became an incredibly important model for Japan. So Dazaifu was very important during the Heian period, a little bit Kamakura. And this is why Kyushu was not a backwater at all. It was not a backwater at all. There were many influential families, daimyo families, samurai families were there. And this may possibly be why they reacted quite quickly as well after the attack from the Mongols. And of course, Mongols in the 13th century, they basically ruled the world, right? They ruled their world. They had conquered China, but they had also conquered the Korean Peninsula, which at that time was the Koryo dynasty. So the Koryo dynasty, the poor Koreans, they were also basically occupied by the Koreans and by the Mongols, and the Koreans were also forced to join the invading army by the Mongols. So can you just imagine when this game takes place, that one night, just before everybody goes to sleep, the watchers on Tsushima look out and they see this enormous army, this naval army, basically, this naval force, arriving from the Korean Peninsula, only 50 kilometers away. And they only have a few hours. 50 kilometers, it's not much. And at first, the Mongols were very fortunate, right? They arrived very quickly. So they arrived at 2 in the morning already. So these poor people on Tsushima, they had a little bit of warning, but barely. So basically they didn't stand a chance. And the chronicles from the So family, and the So family later became the most important family in Tsushima ever. They became the ruling family. But in the Kamakura period, they were only the deputies of another important daimyo family. But as they lived on the mainland in Hakata, they didn't have to deal with this. So the So family had to be the first line of defense. And they're probably not mentioned in the game because apparently the game made a very conscious decision to stay away from historical figures. They didn't want to disrespect the history, they didn't want to do cultural appropriation, and apparently this was very much appreciated by the cultural advisors. So there are some people that I think I can already see, historical people whose story may have influenced certain turn of events, but they haven't actually mentioned any of the historical people involved, and sort of the heroic people who fought the Mongols invaders. And according to their records, it was 100 versus 1 in the favor of the invaders. So the poor people on Tsushima, the poor warriors on Tsushima, they didn't stand a chance. The poor warriors on Iki, they had a little bit more notice, and they actually were able to get a warning party. The daughter of the leading daimyo, the samurai of Iki, he was actually able to send out his daughter with a messenger to warn the mainland people on Hakata and Dazaifu that this force was coming, this disaster was coming. And the poor daughter died. She was shot by the Mongols. But and according to the annals, the chronicles of Tsushima Island, the then leader of the So family, he actually got a divine warning that something bad was going to happen, because the shrine of a very important deity called Hachiman actually caught fire. And this was, of course, a great omen, a very, very bad omen. But he saw it as a warning. And the god Hachiman is originally a Shinto deity, who is the deity of archery, warfare, and agriculture and fishery. And he's very important, but he's a warrior god. So it was very, very suitable that through burning his own shrine temple, he warned the people in Tsushima that this disaster was coming. So I'm going to give it back to Sophie now. I hope she's got everything set up.
My humble apologies for putting you on the spot like this and having y'all in chat wait. I'm an idiot. There is no excuses. That's just what the reality of it is. But the game is running. We can dive straight in. I think that since I just don't want to deny you and those of you in chat who aren't familiar with the game, the pure awesomeness that is the introductory sequence to this game, I'll start a new game, and then once we've sort of made our way through the introductory stages, we'll switch to another save file so we can freely roam around the island and see what cool stuff we can find. And then after that, maybe we'll venture into Iki Island, which is the DC. On that, right now, I think the audio is pretty soft, so I hope it'll start running once we've dived into the game, but let me know if it isn't, because I can always troubleshoot some more if need be. I think it might not be running at all. I think that might be an issue. Ah, God. Oh, well.
Oh, this is exciting.
Let me double check if the audio is doing what it should be doing. Oh, the audio works, so you can hear the game. Right now, I don't think there is any sound on the game's end, but I think I'll put it on hard. That's fine. There is Japanese dialogue, but I know there is at least a few of our regular viewers who sort of attend this as a podcast. So I'm going to put the dialogue on English, so they can listen along. What we're about to see is the battle at Commodore Beach, which is, at least in part, historical.
They are brutal.
Of course, they've switched and spiced things up a bit.
Unstoppable. We are 80 samurai against
I'm
an
going
army.
to mute us
Fighting
for a little while so I can
slowly
tone up the
invasion.
volume on our end.
Today, I die for my people. There must be thousands of them.
We will face death and defend our home. Tradition, courage, honor. They are what make us. We are the warriors of Tsushima. We are samurai! Oh! Nodadachi, go break their spirits. Hey!
Outsiders! Send your finest warrior to face me!
Nada, Jinnida.
I am Harunobu Adachi, descendant of the legendary Yoshinobu Adachi.
Samurai! Do you surrender? Cowards without honor deserve no mercy. No mercy! Open fire! For Tsushima!
So I've put our volume back on and I'm going to tone down the volume of our display so that you all don't get two audio inputs from the game, and I'll be back in a sec.
Ooh. Well, that was exciting. As you said, the costumes, the armor, it's a little bit anachronistic. Because this obviously is the armor from the Japanese, for example. I think this is a little bit more towards the warring
States period.
Yeah, Warring States period, indeed.
Yeah.
It's a bit more towards the 15th, 16th century. And we're supposed to be in the 12th century. In the 13th century. A little bit anachronistic, but very nicely done. And in those days, they were wearing the yoroi, for example. These little platelets made of metal and leather, boiled leather, that was strung together with the silken cords.
Mm-hmm.
That is definitely what, but it's just the helmets that are a little bit anachronistic. But not so much, not so much.
Cool. Oh, a slight trigger warning, both for you, Dr. Bausch, and those of you in chat who don't know the game. It's
not grossly brutal, but they didn't hold back on the blood or the cinematic styling of the fighting. So yeah, do keep that in mind.
We must hunt down the Mongol leader! Everyone, with me!
Who's the Mongol leader? Is that the one with the...
It's Kublai Khan, the one that decapitated the diplomatic... Oh god, how did the fighting work again? I forgot I put it on hard mode. Alright, okay. I think we're good.
I'm not sure the Mongols would have looked so shiny, to be honest.
Okay.
But there is actually a very beautiful historical resource that dates from the Kamakura period, just a few years after these battles took place. And they were from a samurai who was actually from a rather low family.
Yeah.
But he was incredibly ambitious and he wanted all the glory. And he actually commissioned an illustrated historical account. And they have the most beautiful illustrations. And you see him, and you see the Japanese, both when they're waiting and then as the cavalry and on the boats. And you also see what the Mongols look like. They look very distinctive. You can immediately tell apart who are the Mongols, the Mongol troops, and who are the Japanese samurai troops. And I actually gave Sophie a Wikipedia link earlier, so you can see what it looked like. And the historical source is called the Illustrated Account of the Mongol Invasion. It dates from the Kamakura period. It was commissioned by a samurai called Takazaki Suenaga, who completely achieved his aim by getting eternal glory and fame through this. And it contains so many beautiful illustrations that put us back to what it would have looked like. And also some points are illustrated about weaponry, because the different weaponry that the Mongols were using. We know from the historical accounts that the Japanese were using their swords and they were using archery, basically bow and arrow. But the Mongols, they had innovations. They had bombs. They had what do you call it again? Gunpowder. They had gunpowder, and they put them in little ceramic hollow balls. So they basically had bombs that they could lob at the enemy through catapults, maybe even sort of primitive cannon. And there's actually, if you look at the Moko Shurai Ekotoba, that is this illustrated account of the Mongol invasion, there is, on the first page, in the very first picture, if you look it up, there's this beautiful illustration of a very brave warrior on the right, on his dying horse, which is completely bleeding. And of course, this is the heroic samurai Suenaga. And to the left, you see all these Mongols. And these Mongols, some of them are running away because they're cowards and they're being shot at. But there's a very evil one, a very ugly evil man in a blue kind of robe. And he's evil and he's smiling and he's about to lob this huge spear at our poor Suenaga. And lots of them are shooting bow and arrows. And you have to remember they're the Mongols, and they're really ugly. The Mongols are really ugly. But of course they also force these poor Koreans to fight for them as well. So you see ethnic diversity as well. But very interestingly, in a little bit past the middle of the picture, you see one of those bombs filled with gunpowder exploding. So you see parts, fragments of this little ceramic bowl exploding, and you see the firepower. So this is very exciting for the historians because it confirms accounts that people believe to have been exaggerated, an anachronism that the Mongols were using basically. Gunpowder and bombs.
Grenades,
they
basically.
They did, and there's actually evidence in this historical source.
You are a warrior. I can see that. You trained your whole life for this. And you have won battles that lesser men have called unwinnable, yes? But while you were sharpening your sword, do you know how I prepared for today? I learned. I know your language, your traditions, your beliefs, which villages to tame and which to burn. So I'll ask you once again.
What they
Samurai,
historically did was mostly
Do
burning,
you
by the way,
surrender?
but I do think that they took a very impressive approach to the villain, in the sense that he's not just a big bad evil guy who's hell-bent on destroying everything in his past, but actually a leader who aims to learn about those he conquers in order to more successfully assimilate them basically into his grand empire.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, he's very impressive and very shiny. if you look actually at these illustrations, of course there is a bias there, right? There's a lovely bias that you can see in this Japanese scrolls in the Japanese accounts. And you see these rather ugly, squat faces. They're obviously not nearly as elegant as the very beautiful Japanese warriors. But also, according to Japanese accounts, they were just basically butchering people. And after the women committed suicide, so basically the leading daimyo on Tsushima Island from the Soul family, when he was completely defeated, he fought until the very last. And then when he was defeated, he and his people committed suicide. And according to the Japanese account, the Mongols did something really unforgivable. They stripped the dead women naked and hung them from the sides of the ships to basically intimidate and devastate the morale of the people they were about to conquer.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if that's true, but is what the Japanese accounts say. So they were basically being dishonorable.
Yeah, I think, needless to explain, but they didn't depict that in this game.
So they're being very balanced here. They're being,
They've put some of the atrocities committed on both sides, because there is, rarely a black and white good and evil in a game, in reality, sorry. I think at some point they burn people alive to motivate the Japanese to surrender. But there is no women being stripped naked and dangled off of ships. I think that this is the point where I will switch to another save file.
I have to say though, that environment is gorgeous.
It is beautiful, and it's only going to get better, because right now it's rather dark and everything's on fire, quite literally.
Yeah. But the rocks, just the depiction of the mountainous landscape, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
really beautiful.
This game is. I know I've said it before, and I'm sorry for the people who've heard me say it around. Well, let's say 1,000 times. This is one of the most beautiful games available on PS4. But we're going to exit to the title screen. And then we're going to load the file which I platinumed, so we can just freely roam around. That means there won't be a lot of dynamics to what's happening in game, but there will be a lot to explore. No, that's fine. Let's go. Let's see. I think that's the right one. Maybe I can show you a samurai duel in a New Game Plus. That'd be cool, I think. And if you want, we can also travel to Iki Island, but the story focus is a tad different there.
By the way, those grasses with the silver plumes, You do get those in Japan. They're really gorgeous towards the end of summer. Very pretty. Yeah.
Okay, hold up. I need to find out how this. I have a horse.
Nice.
There we go. Right. Let's see. How do I access the map again?
Nice. You get the map as well.
Yes, and there is a fog of.
Oh yeah, and Commodore, of course, is that beach where this really disastrous battle for the Japanese took place.
Yes, so that would be
very
here.
tragic, very heroic, but very tragic because basically they got killed, all of them.
They were decimated.
I
Well,
see a little
wiped off.
shrine as well. I see a little shrine up there.
There is. We
shrine.
can head to Golden Temple. That's the big. I think one of the biggest temple complexes in the game, and surrounded by golden ginkgo trees. It's insane.
Okay.
Let me see. So if you were to start this game vanilla, there would be a fog of war, meaning that you can't see the entirety of the map, but it expands as you explore. And I've explored the entire map because, well, I may or may not have been somewhat obsessed with the game, so there's nothing
You don't say.
blotted out anymore. But normally you'd be exploring this quite organically, of course, guided along the path of the story. What would be interesting? We can just head to.
They're also little tokens of a shrine. Basically, if you look at something, you see something that looks a bit like the symbol pi. You know, the mathematical symbol pi. That means a Shinto shrine.
Yes,
So,
yeah. Those
So,
Torii gates, those are shrines,
okay,
indeed.
Yeah. Indeed. So I was hoping to get to see that Hachiman shrine that burned down as a divine warning about the disaster to follow.
Oh, you can see rice paddies here. The people at this point have started to return because I've sort of freed the island of the Mongol invaders, although there's still small bands of them roaming around. Oh, hold on! I can play the flute like a real samurai.
Beautiful, the grasses. The grasses are sort of appearing end of the summer, basically August, September.
Okay, yeah. This island is under the simultaneous influence of all 4 seasons, depending on where you are.
Every beautiful bit, I suppose. Because I think it was somewhere in early year, right? March or something when it was taking place. The attack.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but as you can see, they've only just recovered.
No, I'm entirely wrong. It was apparently in November. That it.
And something really cool they've done in this game is they've minimized the player interface, the HUD. So the overlay of, for example, small compasses and maps and your health points and all that. So you can just fully focus on the. I would like you to disappear from the screen. Thank you.
Are we still on Tsushima now?
Yes, we are still on Tsushima. That was just.
Tsushima is a really mountainous island, and I think they haven't taken this up, but something that the people on Tsushima are very proud of nowadays, they have a very interesting wildlife. So you have all these natural reserves there now. And of course, they're very happy about this game because it draws a lot of tourism.
Yes.
And they're very excited about that. But these wildlife reserves, one thing they're very proud of, one type of animal, there's a small wildcat. It's almost it's threatened with extinction, but it's called something like the Tsushima leopard cat. So it's a wild cat, a little bit different looking from what we have in Europe, in Scotland, for example. But it's a wild cat. And, maybe in a future game they're going to use that little cat in some kind of mysterious capacity.
Oh, hold on. I just got off my horse. When you play a lot of different games, you learn a lot of different control mechanics, and they're all different.
I have to say, again, the environment is gorgeous. It's very, very beautiful.
It is stunning.
Very nicely done.
There's a lot of ways to interact with it as well. It's one of my favorite games.
Somebody said you can pick flowers?
Yes. There's flowers dotted around the landscape that you can use to buy special attire, so special outfits and the like.
Right.
The
And
most
something about foxes, I heard.
Yes, there's also fox shrines. The issue being that in this file, I found them all. So all the one mystical element, like in the world, apart from the magical effects of the talismans you gather, is that once you visit a fox shrine with the accompanying fox, the fox disappears, and instead a small statuette of a stone fox appears next to the shrine. So
Nice.
there's no more foxes roaming the land, just double the
little-
number of fox statues.
Right. So these are all mystical messengers between the gods and the people. So
Yeah.
for people who don't know, in Japan, foxes are messengers. They have a sort of a magical status. Foxes are messengers for the god Inari. Inari is another very important Shinto god with many, many purposes, which may seem sometimes at cross purpose. He protects against fires, against epidemics, and he's also the god of rice agriculture. So there are many, many Inari shrines all over Japan, and you can always recognize them because they have statues of something that looks like really, really mean Saluki dogs. It's a very slender type dog with a very slim face, but they have a very mean look in their eyes. And these are actually foxes. These are supposed to depict the mythical foxes that are the messengers to the god Inari.
All right, so there we are.
Oh, nice. Nice case, nice lanterns.
Yeah, so we've used the back entrance, which is a little less spectacular. And needless to say that it looks even more beautiful by day, but I mean, look at that.
Does your bow need work, my lord?
Oh, nice tree, by the way. You see
Yes.
it's a sacred tree, and it's hung with the paper streamers.
Yes, exactly.
And have the Nawa rope, the sacred Nawa, Shime Nawa, the paper streamers. Oh, nice little altar or something.
Yes, on occasion you can pick up gifts from the local population to you as the legendary Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, nice. Well,
Yes,
a very good thing to make to offer to a god is, of course, sake wine. So I'm sure this would be very appreciated by the living as well, like this living warrior.
But there is one of the little tidbits they've added into the game is that one, you can clean and sheath your sword after you've used it in battle, which is pretty paramount to the samurai existence, sword upkeep. You can bow that's not bowing. There you go. To people, and they will bow back. And you can do that at both obviously placed shrines, but also certain spots in the landscape where there's sort of secret shrines. For example, there is a spot near a beach where you can bow at a gravesite, and then 100 tiny crabs will emerge from the sand and then just skitter around.
Is there any significance to the bull? There's a big bull.
No, this complex is currently doubling as a refugee camp, because obviously the Mongols were ravaging the countryside. So this is probably just livestock that was brought in here by farmers and the like.
Oh yes, that might also be a point that I could bring up in real life, in real history. The two raids of the Mongols, they basically ravished Tsushima. The second attack was slightly less disastrous than the first. But for a people who were already dependent on things like fishing and trade, there was very little opportunity, geologically speaking, to do agriculture here. And so this was already a very meager living that they were eking out, especially the ordinary people. Of course, the samurai are fine, the daimyo, but the ordinary people were having a difficult time. So one natural consequence of the Mongol attacks is that a few decades after the attacks, there was a very, very flourishing culture of piracy. And the piracy...
Oh, look, I found a secret shrine. There you go.
Oh, nice.
So I paid my respects to the Buddha, and
Oh,
then
nice.
all these fireflies. I mean, that's kind of magical.
Oh, that is magical. Actually, that is not just the Buddha. That is the Bodhisattva canon, Avalokiteshvara, and this is the Bodhisattva of mercy. It's actually one of the most popular Buddhist deities in Japan.
Okay.
So he's basically praying to the Bodhisattva of mercy.
Cool.
Canon deity. Yeah, very popular deity.
But you were talking about pirates, and I know just the place to be for piracy.
Pirates.
Let me know if I can find it back.
Pirates.
Hold on. Oh, God, I completely forgot where it was. It's a settlement, I'm pretty sure. Is this it?
Izumi village?
No, I don't think it is. It should be somewhere at the coast. But
So
where?
maybe it's just a natural extension. I mean, these people are already seafarers, right? They have been seafarers from time immemorial. They have been seafarers since the Jomon Prehistoric Period. And they were good at trading. Yeah, so a logical extension of trading. If you don't have much to trade, you do a more illegal form of trading. So they became extremely good at piracy. And actually, they became known as the Woko or the Wako. The Wako, we call it in Japan, Japanese pirates. Actually, they were very ethnically diverse because every malcontent in the greater area of East Asia was drawn to them, of course. And I love that book, by the way. And they became extremely proficient in piracy. So if anybody here is a fan of Pirates of the Caribbean or my personal favorite, Black Sails, just picture that. And then in the general area of East Asian seas, so the Chinese seas, and of course in Korea, they also, especially in the 14th century, they were a complete pest. Attacking the Korean coast of Koryo and driving the kings completely insane because they had to stop it. So there were various military incursions into Tsushima in the next few centuries just to get these bloody pirates to stop because they were such a problem. Ooh, what's that doing?
These are Ronin, and I'm currently getting my ass kicked because I forgot how fighting works, but...
Why would they attack him? He's on their side.
No, the Ronin, most of them anyway, the Straw Hats, that is, were under the command of an old friend of Jin who betrayed him in favour of serving the Mongol invaders. God, I forgot how fighting works.
So these definitely are piracy candidates.
Ow. Okay, there we go. That's the most bothersome.
If anybody's interested in the piracy, my friend Barbara Sayok has written another excellent study. She's done so much research about this whole area of Tsushima. She's done a great paper on the pirates of...
Okay, look, so I can clean my blade. There you go.
Oh, God, that is such a beautiful
It
picture. You can feel the sogginess, basically, of this swamp.
This is. I mean, look at it.
Nice, that mist.
It's beautiful. I mean, especially when the sun rises or starts to set, this area is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
There's fireflies flying around, as you can see, the small red dots. Oh, you can't see them that well on the screen because the lighting is a
on his
little.
costume, very nice.
But the reason we're here, and I'll just call out my... Oh, I can kick. I forgot I could kick things.
Oh, horse. Yeah, nice.
Is Umugi Cove, because that's where the pirates are camped.
Ooh, so they already have some pirates.
Yes, this is the smugglers' hideout.
I'm sure there were smugglers before, mind you. They were just more low-key.
Look.
But after the Mongol invasion, they just went boom.
So there's a lot of Ronin in here too, but they are not affiliated with the Straw Hats and therefore not constantly in the mood for a fight.
Okay.
And they've made this sort of fantasy construction of dilapidated buildings connected by wooden structures that I wouldn't be extremely comfortable about navigating, but nah.
No, doesn't seem much point to some of it. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, and then you've got the main building over there.
Unless they believed it was going to flood very regularly, I wouldn't.
Well, it might with the typhoons and how wet everything is.
That's true, because of course in the end the Mongols were defeated by the really, really bad weather.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, not just by the really bad weather.
Yeah.
But that happens if you subdue a people and force them to make you an entire war fleet in an incredibly small amount of time with very bad resources, and bully them into making you a war fleet. The result is that people will deliberately make you a really
shitty ships,
crappy war fleet. So there's actually been great research done after the divine wind, the kamikaze, when the Mongols were finally vanquished into drowning, both the first and the second time. Especially the second time, almost the entire fleet sank, and it sank near a special island, and I have to look up the name because
I knew that.
My
Damn
brain
it.
fart has ensured that I don't remember quite. But there is there is a really beautiful excavation, Takashima.
There you go.
The island of Takashima, still part of Nagasaki Prefecture, by the way. Tsushima is technically also part of Nagasaki Prefecture, despite not being anywhere close to it. But so the island of Takashima, there was a big underwater archaeology dig, basically underwater, and they found so many sunken Mongol ships there. And there have been archaeological... Ooh, nice. Some flute music. They found so many parts of the ships. And there is somebody, a very famous book was written just a few years ago by somebody called Randall Sasaki, so an American of Japanese descent. He went to that excavation and he did a study of all those ship parts that they found. And you could sort of divide the Mongol ship into Chinese-made ships and Korean-made ships. Because, of course, the Mongols, they're horse riders, right? We all listen to The Who, right? We know what Mongol culture is like.
I think that's
they're not known for their seafaring abilities. So they bully other people into making... Kublai Khan bullied others into making his war fleet.
I think that an important short note to make for those of you who aren't familiar with the core material is that the Mongols were not the same as the Chinese. The Chinese, and even the Chinese is a very homogenizing term for a diverse area and peoples and everything. So the Mongols are not the Chinese and vice versa.
Very much not so. And in fact, the Chinese, the Han Chinese, right? Basically, the Sung dynasty was conquered by the Yuan dynasty, who were the Mongols. They were deeply resentful. So the Chinese basically sabotaged their war fleet production. And this guy, Randall Sasaki, actually posits, looking at all the parts, that particularly the Chinese-made boats, the ships, were deliberately badly made. So he posits that they really sabotaged Kublai Khan's fleet, whereas the Korean ships were better made. So I'm not sure whether that says that they actually, approved of his activities. I don't think so. I think the Chinese may just have been, sneakier and more resentful because they had been conquered longer or something. I don't know. But there's extremely good research for anybody interested in naval underwater archaeology about the fleet of the Mongols and why they sank. So part of it was the great kamikaze, the weather conditions. Part of it is that really don't mess with the Strait of Korea. It's scary and it has really bad currents as well. And a third, there was some deliberate sabotage attempt into not making good boats. And the Mongols didn't know. Mongols, they're extremely knowledgeable about horses and about fighting. They live in Central Asia. They're not a coastal people. So they didn't know. So the Chinese shortchanged them there. And so the research is called, let me see if I can look that up, Randall Sasaki. The book, you can actually, if you're a member of a student at Leiden University, you can get an online version at the university library, and it's called Origin of the Lost Fleet of the Mongol Empire. So Randall Sasaki, Origin of the Lost Fleet of the Mongol Empire. And I don't know, it's something like 2015 or something that the book came out. And it's based on his master research and then later his PhD research. So, and I've seen some reviews, and he's got pretty good reviews on this. So it's a good thing. And if you also want to know more about military history of the Japanese and want sort of a gateway source to get in quite easily, Stephen Turnbull's done some nice introductory historical works on military history of Japan, including about the Mongol invasion. So it might be a nice starting point to get interested for all those of you who are interested in the military history of Japan.
So, really briefly, you asked to be taken to the Shrine of Hachiman. There isn't one. I was confused. I don't have any charms of Hachiman, hence I'm assuming there's no shrine.
Oh, but this is nice because you actually have charms of real Shinto deities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, the mythology, the mythology they're using. Hey, J.A. Basco, welcome to the stream. We have a special guest today. That's me responding to the chat.
Nice.
But yeah, the Susanoo, they're all existing deities.
Oh, definitely. And actually, I forgot to mention this, but maybe you already know this, but the mythology of Japan says that the Japanese isles were created by two deities, were brother and sister, but also husband and wife, because in mythology that doesn't matter. Izanami, the wife, and Izanagi. And first, when they got married and they tried to make the islands of Japan, the wife went first, and that, of course, was not acceptable. It didn't work. The man has to go first. Misogyny about. But when they actually got it right and they made the 9 islands of Japan, Tsushima is actually one of the first islands that they made. So mythology recognizes the importance of the island of Tsushima.
Look at the beautiful landscape.
It is really beautiful, yeah.
Oh no! We'll just do a standoff. Forgot how that works, but
is that another nasty?
That's another straw hat. Yeah.
Okay. So the straw hats are evil, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Straw hats evil. But
all right.
Nice one. Okay, so he's pretty much dead.
It's somewhat gruesome. They've decided to put it in there as part of the sort of the Bushido code, I suppose, of not unnecessarily prolonging the suffering of your fallen opponent.
So there is a certain Bushido code, right?
Yes, although the importance of it and the way it dictates samurai actions is exaggerated in this game. The importance of the Bushido code increased in the Edo period and wasn't quite as omnipresent or dominant in the Kamakura period. But look, it's a sort of grave site. It's so beautiful.
It's nice. This is a Buddhist gravesite, obviously. And there's lots of little statues, if you go to the right, of the Bodhisattva, and also up there, the Bodhisattva Jizo. And Jizo is actually somebody who helps the lost souls, including the lost souls of little children, to get sort of out of a really nasty hell and move on towards the next stage of reincarnation. Jizo is a very, very important deity in Japan, a Buddhist deity, and everybody basically worships him. Because both for the lost travelers and the lost souls and little babies who died and sort of got lost in the underworld.
Do you know if there's what the meaning or cultural significance of the spider lily is? Because they're everywhere here, and I know they're usually used in anime at very angsty moments or to characterize suffering or whatever. I'm assuming because of the blood red color.
Yeah, that's really interesting. To be honest, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the island of Tsushima is actually known for its beautiful flora. So it's quite likely that this is actually a sort of an indigenous flower, and that lots of tourists come to, because Japanese love flowers.
Yeah.
Love flowers, so it's
And I mean,
quite possible.
why not the right? Demon
Yeah.
Slayer anime. I mean, Tokyo Ghoul does it too. Cosmic on the internet. It's.
So there might be significant, but to be honest, I'm not quite.
Oh,
I'm
hold
not
up! I can do you one better, and we can pick some flowers, by the way.
Oh, nice blue flower. Yeah. Very significant because it has lightning flashes. Apparently.
It means, but speaking of spider lilies, as you can see ahead of us, this game is beautiful.
It's very aesthetically pleasing. And I'm glad you're the one at the controls, because I'm not sure I would be progressing this fast. I would probably be turning around like a specifically.
Oh, and look at all the birds!
Oh, there's bats. Okay.
No, those are birds. Sorry.
Oh, birds. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit too light for bats. But yeah, more of the fauna in Tsushima, and especially in the mountains. He would be safe here in the swampy area, but they also have a really poisonous viper. Another way of gruesomely killing a potential opponent, I think. Throwing
Shit,
a
dang it.
viper.
Oh, no. I lost focus. Oh, that's bad. Okay. No.
Are these Mongols?
Yes. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I find it
That's...
difficult to recognize them because they don't look right.
Oh, God. I've completely forgot how fighting works. Well. There you go.
That was very good. Very well done.
Okay. I've got this.
Well, historically, a particularly brave and successful samurai actually killed 25 Mongols before he was killed himself.
Damn.
And the chronicles of the Soul family, who's the main daimyo family and the most influential family in the island, they even, of course, managed to finally corral the pirates, who were probably they cut a deal with, but they could continue the trade with Korea. Yeah, they have a wonderful chronicle. There's lots of historical sources about everything that happened. So.
All right. Okay. I think that's all of them. We made it.
Very nice story entrance to a shrine there.
Yes, there is in fact a Shinto shrine beyond that, but since I've collected the charm from it a long time ago. Yeah, but we can still visit it if you'd like. We'll just not.
It was a really nice touch that they actually the amulets belong to real deities of Japan, including sort of the makers of Japan, Izanami and Izanagi,
So
and of course the sun goddess Amaterasu. And my problematic favorite, the god Susanoo, the storm god, is definitely my problematic favorite.
Somehow I get a feeling it's
Tsukuyomi,
everyone's.
Yeah, and Tsukuyomi. He was the one I saw first. He's indeed the moon god. For some reason, doesn't appear in many spectacular mythological stories, like his little brother, nasty little brother Susanoo. But he's the god of the moon. Yeah.
Yep, damn it.
But Susanoo has such a great redemption arc when he becomes the protective deity of the area of Shimane, of Izumo. One of my favorite gods, to be honest. He's wonderfully obnoxious.
Okay, I'll see if we can make it there. This one's quite the...
What's he doing? He's sort of leapfrogging along the side of the...
Yeah, no, I'm trying to make my way towards the actual shrine.
Wow. Nice. Ooh, okay. I'm very impressed with his Tarzan skills.
Okay, hold on. There we go.
all this mountain. It reminds me a bit of Chinese, the Chinese conventions of Chinese heroic movies where they sort of jump in the tops of the bamboos and.
Okay, let me see if I can make my way back. Because I missed Q. There we go.
There is no hostile fauna here. No.
No, the shrines are a rather, well, let's say peaceful experience in the sense that it's just parkouring from tree branch to tree branch.
Because if he's jumping on those rocks, you have to be careful about the viper, right? Not really.
Oh, damn it, he keeps jumping over it. Hold on, let me see if I can do this right.
Still no sign of that little wildcat.
No, we'd have to go to Iki Island
They
for that
already
one.
made him extinct. Oh, nasty.
Well, you're not hunting them, you're petting them.
Yeah, you would be. Although, no, it's a wildcat, so they would be really scared of people.
Not these ones, they're divine, so they understand that my intentions are pure, I guess. All right. Okay, we made it.
I love the way that they did the light. It's very beautiful. Oh, that's a very aesthetically pleasing shrine.
Yeah. Hold up, I'll just turn off.
Yeah, but there's something with the bridge that doesn't quite work, huh?
Yeah, that's why we're parkouring everywhere, because otherwise we'd.
Actually, the funny thing is that this shrine, and you do have shrines like this, the architecture of the shrine, very reminiscent of shrines from the Yayoi period onwards. So there's archaeological buildings, both depicted on pottery and on bronze, the ritual bronze bells, but also reconstructions based on the postals that they found. And bits of preserved wood. That this roof, the way the roof is done, it's something that happened from the Yayoi onwards. So very pretty, very beautiful little shrine.
Cams are gone. Yeah, I turned them off on purpose to show off the beautiful visuals we've got.
It's very nice.
I mean, look at that.
Yeah. And there's so many shrines in Japan, and. You could theoretically come across one of these. I'm not quite sure about the bridge. They would probably have stone bridges leading up to them. Usually, shrines are on some kind of hill, on the top of a hill or the side of a hill. Usually, you have stone steps or stone stairs to lead to them. Wood is a bit rarer for the avenue up to the shrine.
Okay.
But it could. I mean, you have thousands of them, and I haven't seen them all, so you could.
Oh God, look at that! It's
yeah, another big story with the shimenawa and the paper streamers for the gods. So that's nice.
I mean, look. I'm sorry. I love this game. Oh,
so
it's amazing.
There's birds, or is it a frog?
I'm sure there's frogs around here. They'll be jumping away too. That was a frog. There was another frog. They're swimming. You can see them. See, they'll either.
In summer, you have so many frogs in Japan.
Yeah, here those are all frogs.
Yeah.
Who obviously don't like me.
And around June, you also have fireflies. If you're in an area which has some water, some running water, there's also fireflies. It's really nice. And the frogs. In a certain time in early summer, they're noisy. I think it's a beautiful sound, but they're noisy. In Japanese summers, there's always some kind of noise. There's the frogs in the early summer, and when it gets really, really hot after the rainy season, so the frogs are in the rainy season, and if it gets really, really hot, there's of course various types of crickets that make specific noises. And I can vaguely remember 2 species of crickets, and they make slightly different noises. Of course, Japanese are very familiar, and now we're in this stage of summer when these types of crickets start making chirping noises.
Hold on, I think there is a jewel somewhere. I can, although that would probably be suicide because I need to refamiliarize myself with the controls of the game. But I can show you a jewel.
Yes, and what do our esteemed audience say? Because I have to confess, I somehow got kicked out of the
Oh.
Twitch stream. I'm so sorry, audience. I didn't mean to.
Our esteemed audience asked about the piracy story, if there was a particular legend or tale or historical account that is your favorite.
Ooh.
And
That's a good one. There are many tales, but very often it's about Korean heroic generals who go to Tsushima to kick the ass of the pirates. And at some point, the Seoul clan. The Seoul clan is originally a kind of a deputy clan for the real daimyo clan, the Shoni clan. And the Shoni clan, at this point, they're supposed to be in charge. They're supposed to be the governors, except they actually live on the mainland of Kyushu. They live in Hakata. So they actually play, the Shoni family also plays a very important role in actually repelling the Mongols when they get to Kyushu, to the mainland. But they lose their influence because they're not actually there, and the So are. And I think they're probably intertwined with all these families, because obviously they know all the pirates, right? It's not that big an island. And what they do, they're quite audacious. They go to Korea and they sort of negotiate with the king of Korea, because they want trade, they want to have trade concessions. And there's really tough negotiation, and in the end, for a long time they're not allowed to trade with Korea, but then they are given the concessions, and the Seoul clan, the Seoul family, they become basically the monopoly holders of all contacts with Korea from Japan. This is how it grows over time, and they become incredibly influential.
that's pretty cool.
And at some point, the warlord Hideyoshi decides to attack Korea because he wants to conquer China, because he's gone a little bit, either he's gone crazy or he tries to limit the infighting at his court. At this point, he's at the end of his life, end of the 16th century. And of course, his own invasion of Korea is via Tsushima. And of course, they're forced to cooperate. But somehow they survive, the Seoul family survives Hideyoshi, but they also survive his successor, Tokugawa Ieyasu, because at the Battle of Sekigahara, they actually switch sides. And they switch sides from the son of Hideyoshi to Tokugawa. So basically they remain in power until the end of basically the Meiji period, when all the basic daimyo clans are...
God, he's relentless.
Disempowered.
Jesus, sorry.
Who's this Hirotsune? Who is he? Is he
He is a straw hat that there are several straw hats dotting the landscape who are up for a noble battle, a test of strength of sorts, and they're a challenge, to say the very least. And this one is a menace.
Oh yeah, it's scary. But for the people who want more piracy stories, my friend Barbara Seok has written a really nice article about the history of piracy at Tsushima and Iki. Basically, all these small islands, they become hotbeds for pirates. And I think there's actually a lot written about pirates and the problems they caused. So, again, my theory is that the Seoul clan pretended to be harsh on the pirate families, but probably some of the pirate families probably were branch families of theirs anyway. So I think they just cut a deal and kind of kept them in control. And became one of the most important clans in Japan, actually. And one of the things I really admire about them is that Hideyoshi basically did horrendously awful things in Japan with his army. In Korea, I mean. He invaded Korea and horrible massacres took place. And I'm sometimes surprised that Korea is not more upset about this. They're more upset about, of course, from 1910 to 1945 occupation in the 20th century. But I think they have plenty of reason to be upset about the invasion of Hideyoshi in the 16th century as well. But what the Seoul family actually managed under Tokugawa Ieyasu, they managed to somehow resume diplomatic connections with Korea. So somehow they managed to reinstate some form of diplomatic relation with Korea, despite Korea they must have hated what happened. We know what happened. They must have hated Japan, but somehow they managed to have some form of Korean contact, to the point there were actually diplomatic delegations visiting Tsushima, and sometimes even the court of Tokugawa Ieyasu. Of course, Tokugawa Ieyasu was a very different kind of shogun than Hideyoshi had been. And he had never endorsed the invasion. He was one of the very few powerful daimyo who had completely stayed aside when Hideyoshi attacked Korea. And he never endorsed that invasion. So somehow... and they were actually very clever, the Sho family, how they did that, because they told the Korean court that Tokugawa Ieyasu, the new shogun, had kind of apologized for this horrible invasion. Of course, he never would, right? He would never, because that would be a step too far. He never endorsed it, but to sort of apologize would be to lose faith. But they pretended that he said that, and then they said, but please don't tell him that, because he doesn't want to admit it. So somehow they played this really clever diplomatic game, and somehow the Koreans didn't mention back to Tokugawa Ieyasu, oh, by the way, you said sorry. They didn't, and so somehow this whole setup worked, and during the Edo period, the diplomatic relations with Korea, they never got back to what they were, but they were not, at least not completely hostile, to the point of being at each other's throats. And that was actually largely thanks to the daimyo of the Sophie, managed this really tricky. But yeah, most historians refer to the pirates, the so-called Japanese pirates, as the Wako. And there's two phases in which the Wako were very flourishing, so to speak. So just after the Mongol invasion, I think then again in the 16th century.
Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh God!
No, we were so close.
Thanks, J.A. Pasco.
Oh God, this
is one of the most difficult duels in the whole game. So I'm getting my ass kicked, basically.
Oh. And this is another Mongol, or?
No, this is a Straw Hat. So this is a Ronin.
Right, he's the one with the horns, basically.
Yes, well, I mean, so do the Mongols, of course, but Jesus! I'm sorry.
Those stories don't do you justice. They never did.
Thanks, lad.
So this is one of the more accomplished Straw Hats.
Yeah, he definitely is. Oh, crikey. There we go.
I'm not a military history specialist. I suspect that the helmet is a little bit anachronistic, but just by a few centuries.
Yeah.
So
No, it is.
By the warring states of the 16th century. This is very common to have very, very distinctive helmets. So you can instantly recognize the daimyo or the samurai. And actually that was part of the samurai code, something that historically the samurai in Kyushu complained about. That the Mongols didn't know the proper Bushido code of warfare. But what you're supposed to do is call out the name of the person, the famous person you want to fight, and then they step forward and have a kind of duel to the death. But of course this is the way to gain fame, because you will of course challenge the most famous warrior and tried to kill him. But yeah, the Japanese were very upset that the Mongol invaders were so dishonorable to lob these bombs at them that they didn't know what they were. And also, they just attacked people randomly and didn't even honor the aristocratic daimyo by calling out their names first. Of course, this is a very elitist perspective. They didn't really care about ordinary people being butchered, which was happening far more often. But so to them, that was Bushido. You're supposed to call out your names, your opponent's name, and challenge them and then have a duel.
Oh no, we're going down again. Damn it. Okay. Come on. Oof, no. I'm sorry. Oh.
Very dark, very difficult.
Yep. Oh, okay. We're almost there. I just need not to get hit. Okay. Yes!
Did you get him?
Oh, yes, we did. I got him.
Oh, well done.
Okay.
You got the bastards.
Also, I don't know if there's any mods in chat, but if you could kindly ban the first time chatters El Panapachalar Garto and LS15089. Oh, we lived. Damn. Okay. I'm getting back into the game. Whew. All right. So I think I've shown you a bit of what the game has to offer once you've completely 100%ed it. I could either start up my... and look at that, because I've been fighting a lot. You can see the storm setting in, which is...
Right.
Because Jin is, of course, a personification of the typhoons that aided the Japanese with divine intervention. And this, you see the golden tree in the middle of the landscape. By the way, that's where the foxes camp out. But I've collected them all, so they're not there anymore.
No more foxes.
No.
Yeah, well, definitely divine intervention there.
Also, you might want to talk a little closer into the mic, or
put
the microphone a little closer to your face. Feel free to move it around a little.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, to be honest, I still can't get the Twitch back. I think I was kicked out of the university Wi-Fi system.
Oh.
And so now I'll just have to find an email and get back to that Twitch link.
So what we could do...
Computer is a bit annoying sometimes as well.
Let me see. I think these are all... Yeah, these are new game pluses. Yeah. Meaning I'll have to do a lot of... Yeah, okay, so this is already on Iki Island, which we could...
Iki Island, which is much closer to the coast of Kyushu, as I explained during my very, very long rant earlier this evening. And again, apologies for that.
Okay, so Iki Island is where the cats are, amongst other things, but I'm very unfamiliar with it because I haven't finished the DLC yet myself. In fact, all I've put into the DLC is what I've played here on stream. So we could go to Iki Island, but that means I might, zone out a little more because I'm trying real hard not to die most of the time. We could also venture back into Tsushima and see what cool stuff we can find there, whilst there is still a lot to explore because I haven't finished everything on this save.
I would say I leave it entirely up to you and the esteemed audience.
Okay, in that case,
What does the audience say?
what do you want, audience? Do you want to see Iki Island and its cat shrines, or more of Tsushima and its fox shrines?
To be honest, I love everything I've seen so far. I mean, the visuals are spectacular. I really like how they try to give deeper characterizations to even random straw hats, making them interesting, let alone the Mongols.
Yes.
And this is really beautifully done, and I can understand why this is such a popular game. And I mean, it's not even, I haven't caught any really, really, really bad mistakes, sort of.
No, there's no glaring errors or like obvious signs of let's call it ignorance, which is a rather harsh word in my personal opinion. But there's nothing that completely pulls you out of the game world because it's so clearly mistakenly placed in there or disrespectfully. Oh, look, these are graves. There you go.
Okay, let's see. Where are they? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, potentially those could be.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% sure they're graves because I think they're his loved ones.
Right,
You're not worried about taking a samurai to your secret hideaway? Of course I am.
Oh yes, and what they've done here is that they've embedded the history of the Sakai clan into the history of Iki Island. Sakai clan is not fictional in the sense that it will come to exist in a century or so, but right in this game, during this period, it's not there yet. But the game clan has, I think, been rather harsh on this island in cutting down a revolt from the locals. So the local population of Iki Island unanimously hates samurai. And Jin is, even though a disgraced one, still a samurai.
Yeah. Because he was actually not a low-level samurai, he was actually the nephew of the daimyo, right?
Yes, and also the one most likely to become daimyo until he
disgraced
uncle
himself with the Bushido code by doing something really, really necessary to save everyone, right?
Yes. Yeah. He chose the people over the code, which also wasn't purely good on his side because
is that little monkey there? Is that little macaque?
A monkey?
To the right?
Yes, yes. There's monkeys. There's some more wildlife on Iki Island because there's hot springs with monkeys in them.
To be honest, the actual monkey hotspots, the monkey where the monkey area.
Oh God! Yeah, I forgot I put this on hard mode. Oh boy! And I'm also completely out of ghost material, so that's bad. Can I light my blade on fire? Yes, I can. Let's go.
Okay, that's it.
I still died.
It's a bit Aragorn, to be honest. Peter Jackson's Aragorn, that is, not Tolkien's. But that was really pretty. So for any people going to Japan anytime soon, macaques, monkeys are a thing. Mm-hmm. And there are also areas in Kyushu, I think, that have monkeys, particularly Beppu.
Okay, that's one down.
And Beppu also has it's a very volcanic area. It has lots of hot springs and very excitingly colored, sulfurous, natural spas, basically. You have the really red one, which is supposed to be the blood pool hell I once talked about in the lecture. Beppu is interesting and not extremely far from it. So much to see in Kyushu, really.
Oh God, no! There's a shaman.
Oh, a shaman.
Yeah, they're real pains. They're really strong. Okay, that's one down.
Pretty accurate. I mean, the Mongols did have a very strong shamanistic.
Yeah, they did, absolutely. And in this game, they sort of empower their fellow Mongol warriors by chanting, which
is a shamanic thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But that makes the game even more difficult, and I've already put it on hard mode because yeah. All right, okay. Where are they? Where's the rest of them? Oh, there's the rest of them. Whoops, daisies.
Good.
He's dead. Okay.
Sick to fight.
So yeah, what he's referring to, by the way, the character we're traveling with right now, is that Jin was exposed to the poison that the Mongols are using to conquer the island.
Ooh.
Meaning I'm hallucinating half of the time,
Oh wow.
although not right now.
Can the Mongols give me the recipe?
I think it's explained somewhere in game. I think they. I'm not sure, but I think they might be using Monix cup.
Right.
Any outsiders find our home,
Wolf's
we
Bane, I
block
think.
the entrance
No.
and kill the witnesses. No exceptions.
I hope she's more welcoming to invited
Actually, what you could also
We'll
use
find out
is
soon
Is there
mushroom.
another way?
Oh,
Only by
definitely.
saying,
Yeah.
You know, our
There
really
was a path years
nice
ago,
little,
before my time.
you know,
Don't know if it's still
the
there.
one with
It's worth a shot.
we have so many little children's songs about this. The red hooded one with the little white polka dots on it.
Remember your father's attendant.
That mushroom is actually found in many regions in the world, including Japan in the central area, central mountain area. But I don't think Japanese historically used it to make
Sometimes I hear the
hallucinogenic
eagle's
out
voice.
of it.
Like she can read your mind or something?
But
No.
in some area in
my own
Nagano,
thoughts.
they actually used to have a
Things I didn't
tradition
know I was
where they
thinking.
knew how to
But in her
detoxify
I
the
hope it
mushroom
wears
to
off.
eat it in times of need.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the local cuisine in Nagano for a very long time. And it's actually recorded by ethnographers,
Okay.
but not sure if they would have used it here.
No, I'm fairly positive it's not mushrooms.
But it's a modern thing, you know. Now a lot of people in Japan, just like everywhere in the world, are getting excited about hallucinogenics, like ayahuasca, and it's a trendy thing at the
I
moment.
see why the samurai never found this hideaway
But
of yours.
that
It's
wasn't
the only stronghold on
necessarily
Iki that survived the
traditional
Sakai
thing.
invasion.
Let's hope that holds for
There's
the
very
Mongols.
strong shamanic influence in Japanese
Oh,
culture
look
as well.
at that.
Very nice, very beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just
No, I just really wonder. I've never been to Tsushima yet, to my regret.
this
always a
Tsushima. I think the coast, most of the coastal structures, the geological structures are fairly accurate, but this again, this landscape is also very much fictionalized to.
Because if it were, I mean, on my very next visit to Japan, I would go here, to be honest.
Oops, sorry, I forgot to trigger a certain mechanic.
Ouch.
Two pirates have come over.
Which is your button to heal the bones?
No, hold on. Oh, I need to keep it. Okay, that's a new thing. I forgot that was a thing. And it. Okay, never mind. There are some new mechanics they've added into the DLC, which I
Two
need to
pirates
get
have
used
come
to.
over.
I think.
There's a pirate. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a. Hold on. What am I? Oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. There we go.
Ah, so
I
you
could use one of
down the
those.
bridge.
Make friends with a
Very
great blacksmith
clever.
on Tsushima.
Visit Tsushima. Not worth it.
Oh, okay.
It's very pretty.
It is indeed.
But yeah, probably fictional. Although in Ryukyu there's some really spectacular coastal lines.
Okay.
In Okinawa.
Minor setback.
Look for a way around.
Okay. Hold on. I have to look for a way around. Apparently. Not sure if I want to. Oh, I think. Oh, that'll work. That'll do. Hold on. How do I climb again? That's how I climb. There we go.
Never seen a samurai do that before.
You're welcome to join me.
Oh, Jesus! What? Okay.
Oops.
My bad, I guess. Right. We'll try that again, I suppose.
Minor
Okay.
setback.
Look for a way around.
I like the fishing net, just referencing the fact that fishing is also a very important
Yes,
means of existence.
And in fact, when you wash up
You're welcome to
on,
join me.
7,000 years.
if you wash up on the. No, not not again! Why? Yes. Oh no.
Oh, you almost got there. Oh no.
When you enter this DLC, so this new part of the game, you're shipwrecked and you wash up on the beach, and you end up right next to the carcass of a whale that was clearly caught by whalers.
Yeah.
I don't know how old the whaling practice is in Japan. I'm pretty sure it's still a thing now.
Used to do it.
Oh. Okay.
Partially. Also the Korean prehistoric people
You're
used
welcome
to
to
do
join me.
They made beautiful petroglyphs, so rock carvings about whaling in the Neolithic.
Mm-hmm.
But Japan, for the longest time, didn't do it because of Buddhism.
Oh.
But then towards the Edo period and later, they got into it again.
Okay.
But I'm not extremely knowledgeable about whaling, I have to say. There was a fantastic lecture, a guest lecture at Japan Studies about this.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I missed most of it because I was in a tutorial with our students.
They're after one of our ships.
Oh.
Very nice.
There you go.
Friends of yours?
Wouldn't call them friends. Yes, I knew them. That
You're
makes
quick to
4
give up.
craft we've lost to the Eagle's warship.
Are the Mongols still a thing? Is that
The
supposed to be a
Eagle, that's what they're referring to
so
as the Eagles.
The Mongolian fleet. Basically.
Yes, or at least the part of it that's ended up on Iki Island.
I think I mentioned that these illustrations by this very, ambitious samurai, this illustrations about the Mongol invasion, that they have really good illustrations about what they actually looked like. The Mongols looked like, what the Japanese samurai looked like, what their boats kind of looked like, what their armor looked like. Also, a little bit a destroying, an exploding bomb.
How did you join up with
I think they mentioned the bomb, right? The black powder.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see them using it as well. Oh, hey, Angus. Yes, Angus says hello.
Angus says hello.
Mhm.
Wait, where's Angus?
In chat.
Oh, hello. Doc Random is
Yes.
Angus.
Yes.
Hello, Angus. Nice to see you here.
Oh God, this game is so beautiful.
Almost there.
He is luring you
there you go.
into a den of murderers.
Yeah, that's
They will kill you just as they killed your father.
Is this the hallucination part?
yeah, that's the after effects of the. I'm losing my voice. The after effects of the poison that Jin ingested.
Okay.
Indeed.
Is that where we saw the remains of the whale? I saw some bones there.
That might. Yes, there's another spot where it's much more glaringly present. Let's put it that way, because you're basically in the middle of the carcass. But yeah, you can see the bones. Apparently, this was a whaling camp. I
Korea,
suppose.
the Strait of Korea is a really dangerous.
When we step through that gate,
sea,
there's no
very
turning
deep. So
back.
there could be.
Everything you do is on
passing,
my head.
definitely.
Don't make me regret this, samurai.
Big sharks too.
You don't have to worry about me, Tenzo. I promise.
Good.
Oh,
Keep
hey,
that attitude and
Hannah.
you'll be fine.
Good to see you again,
Just
or
stay close. Keep your
notice
sword
that you are
sheathed. Let me
present
do the talking.
tonight. Hope you enjoy the show. We're playing Ghost of Tsushima for those of you just joining in, which is a samurai game made by Sucker Punch Studio. Thank you, Hannah. That, especially coming from you, that means a lot.
You're back. You brought a samurai here? Wait until Hune hears about this.
I'll tell her myself.
Okay.
Get back
Oh,
to your
Fune
boat.
is another female raider captain.
Oh,
Love that.
I missed her.
We haven't met her yet. They're referring to her as probably being displeased by someone bringing a samurai into their secret hideout.
Okay, yeah.
And if
Yeah,
I don't impress
I
her,
don't think
I've seen
I've
her
mentioned
tie men
that
up to
yet,
keep them
but
to drown in high
the
tide.
Kamakura period,
Even
which is
hung
the
one traitor
period
from the
Oh
massacre.
we're
yeah,
in now,
that would be the most likely period for female
for
warriors
female
to.
warriors, indeed. Historically, there's several female warriors, and they were called Onamusha or Onabugeisha. And there are various really interesting historical people. The most famous female warrior, aristocratic warrior ever, is Tomoe Gozen, the lady Tomoe. And she was she basically made a career out of being a female warrior, and she fought in many wars. And according to basically the Japanese history, she was worth 10 male warriors. She was greatly admired.
And beautiful, of course.
She was beautiful, but she was greatly admired and respected. And if there are historical parades, particularly in Kyoto or in other parts of the country, you can bet there's at least one Tomoe Gozen. So she's really a model figure for feminism. And bizarrely enough, it's the Kamakura where you see, the most emancipated female figures in history. For example, the wife of the first Kamakura shogun, Minamoto no Yoritomo, he had a wife. Her name was Hojo Masako. And she was so badass. She was very, very strong woman, very intelligent woman. After her husband, the shogun, and a really scary person in his own right, after he passed away, she became a nun. And she sort of had to, because of social conventions at the time, dictated that after your husband died,
okay, so
this
is Fune.
Sorry. So this is the female.
I hope so. Because right now,
but she was so badass. She basically became the ruling figure of the entire country.
You sent me to find people who can fight.
His history calls her the woman shogun, the nun shogun.
If I wanted to come for you,
she's known as the nun shogun.
Know it.
She ruled Japan. She was completely ruthless. She killed her own sons because they're basically, losers.
Yeah, because
she felt that she had to do what's right for the country. And her sons were too weak, so she had them assassinated.
Well, there you go.
There's some interesting ideas that Westerners have about Buddhism that are not entirely correct. And on the other hand, I know many Japanese who have very idealized ideas about Christianity and how extremely meek and gentle and noble Christians are. That we find rather interesting. So,
either way,
Buddhism doesn't
we've got nothing to lose.
Weakness in Japan.
You're in, samurai. I hope you don't get seasick.
Oh, we are apparently going to travel by ship?
Why was it a more emancipated period? That's a very, very good question. Basically, for a very long time. So the Heian period, which precedes the Kamakura period, I guess whenever there is a period of specific social upheaval,
we can't get close enough to board the warship.
Women somehow
but a Mongol boat from Iki resupplies them every few days.
Freedom in some ways.
You can take their supply ship
the Heian period, what happened is that Buddhism took hold for one thing. And the way that you could get political power is marry your daughters into the imperial family. So women were important, but they were especially important. Aristocratic women were a pawn to get power for their fathers. Yeah, they were assets. So there are various ways in which women did have a lot of respect, but at the same time, ultimately it was a man's world.
I think that if you want to watch a film that shows a very beautiful take on this subject, you should watch Princess Kaguya from Studio Ghibli, because it shows that quite beautifully.
So yes, whoever, if you happen to be the father of the empress and therefore the grandfather of the new emperor, that's a really good thing. So during the Heian period, this was the courtly period, the golden age of the court in Kyoto.
The supply ship docks
and
on
that
the
was
northeast
basically
side
8th till the 12th century, just before. But the aristocracy got very complacent, and they got the samurai to do all their little dirty jobs for them. And at some point, the samurai who were below them were thinking like, why the hell do we leave these guys in charge? They started, particularly the Minamoto and the Taira clans. Basically, first they were the muscle for the aristocratic Fujiwara clan, but then they decided over the range of a couple of centuries to basically take over, and they did. So, and then of course they had a massively horrible war at the very end of the Heian period called the Genpei War, and it was a horrible, what do you call it? A civil war. And the Minamoto were the winners. And the first Kamakura shogun was Minamoto no Yoritomo, who was married to the later non-shogun Hojo Masako. And actually, very soon after, the power shifted to the Hojo clan. But the capital basically moved to Kamakura, which is outside of Tokyo. So it moved from Kyoto to northern Japan for a while. Kamakura was in the Kamakura. That's why it's called the Kamakura era, because the capital moved to Kamakura, which is not too far outside of Tokyo. It's close to Tokyo, in Kanagawa Prefecture. Really beautiful area, by the way. If you ever get there, it's along the Pacific coast, and there are many beautiful temples there. A lot of archaeology, a lot of heritage, and of course it was one of the capitals of Japan. It was the shogun's capital in the Kamakura period. So
there we go. There is a legend nearby.
Oh, legends! We love legends.
Which we could go and explore if you'd like.
Yeah.
I think we're free to do as we please again, because I haven't explored this new region of the game yet. There is still a lot of fixed narrative for me to explore, which means that there is a lot of dialogue going on and less space for us to geek out about everything. But I think...
Is there something about foxes? Because kitsune means fox, and it says kitsune.
Yeah, kitsune. Apparently there's a pond with kitsune nearby.
Okay.
I haven't been here, so everything's new to me as well. But we could, for example, see if we can. I think this would guide us to animal shrines.
Oh, and there's crickets.
Yes, but I think I've collected all of those, so those are not here on the island. But I could follow this wind. As you can see, it's the wind is now going to guide us to animals.
Yeah. Anyway, why at some point did the freedom of women deteriorate again? After horrendous centuries of civil war, the country was unified again under a shogun. And after that, just to keep the peace, social mobility was completely squashed. People had to stay in their caste, basically, that they were born into. And also, it was a great adoption of Confucianism, so it was a really rigid social structure. And the main victims of this were actually partially women, because women, the value for a woman as a shogun, as a samurai, became defending the family. That is it. If as a woman you learn how to use a lance called naginata, and they could do this from the Kamakura period onwards as well. But the ideal for a samurai woman in the Edo period is you just use it as a very last resort if your family is vanquished by their enemies and you have to, you protect your sons and or commit suicide. That's it. You're not supposed to go out and actually fight the battles anymore. Not allowed. And I mean, even before, it was not common, but it was possible if you had enough spunk to do it. Enough, martial inclination. But in the Kamakura period, for some reason, especially early Kamakura period, you have more stories about aristocratic ladies becoming famous samurai. Yeah.
All right, so this is where the legend would start, but that's going to take us away from the animals. I don't know if you'd rather see some animals or...
So let's ask our esteemed audience. What does somebody like Hannah say? Does Hannah want to see foxes or cats?
Indeed, Hannah, would you prefer we go and pet some cats or chase some dark tale of a cursed, I think, set of armor it was? That's so cool, Doc Random, you're going to Tokyo this summer? I wanted to go as well, but they don't want any tourists at the moment.
Oh.
I see some cat emojis popping up in chat.
Yes.
So I suspect...
They're probably ordinary cats and not the very distinctive wild cats.
I think they were designed to look like the
leopard cats.
The leopard cats, exactly. There is more votes for the cats.
Okay, let's go and see some cats. We
Okay,
want some
hold
cats.
on. Okay, I'll see how I can get out of this place.
Yes, Jin wants to pet cats.
So do we, and so does
Who doesn't? I mean,
the vocal majority of the chat, apparently.
you can only fight so many straw hats.
Well, there's no straw hats around here, so.
No straw hats, only Mongols.
Oh,
he's gone through a cave.
a crevice in the
Must be a
rock.
magic
There we
cave,
go.
no?
Now it's just a fast travel point.
Caves are an entrance to the other world. Missed opportunity there.
An entrance to the other world in general, or to hell?
I mean, the underworld, for example.
Yeah.
So, of course, in every part of the world, including Neolithic Europe, caves can be magical.
Also,
To the other world.
I've been desperate to show you my hat. So if you don't mind.
No, you show me whatever you like, yeah.
I'm just so happy with it. Because
Very fancy.
Yeah.
I like the flowers, nice touch.
Exactly, and they even
moss.
match the outfit, so.
Yeah, the moss is very nice. He's doing that ghostly, beggar chic very well.
Spectral beggar
Very
chic.
designer
Absolutely, yeah. You can, if you start a new game plus, you get access to all these fancy new dyes. And I do indeed blend into the landscape very nicely this way. That's true.
I really wonder if the Sakai clan is supposed to be equal to the Soul clan who ended up leading Tsushima for all these centuries.
I don't think so. I think that's the, what's his name? Our uncle's clan is supposedly the leader. But the Sakai clan, at least in the fiction of the game, was a very prominent presence on Iki and Tsushima Island. That looks promising.
Nice. Beautiful.
Hold on, what's that?
So it's a rock with the shimenawa and the paper streamers. So this is definitely a sacred rock. So
There's a deer nearby. It's a deer sanctuary.
And deer, for people who do not know, perhaps, deer are like magical foxes. They're messengers for the gods, specific gods. So yes, deer, not in every context, but at certain shrines, like in Nara and Miyajima.
My mother loved the deer.
Deer are considered the messengers to the gods.
Look. Oh, hold on. What? Oh God, this is a mini game. Oh no.
Is this the shakuhachi part where he's playing the flute?
Yes, you can play the flute whenever you like, but apparently it's a special feature of the shrines.
Oh,
but
nice.
I'd have to turn towards the... Wait, hold up. Let me see if I can do this the right way. Okay, let's see. I have to stick to the tune, which is a new thing to me. And then get the deer to approach us. Oh, this is difficult. Oh, it's coming closer. Yes! Look, you can pet the deer. There you go.
I feel I'm being a bit of a spoil sport when I'm pointing out that Japanese deer do not actually look like that.
No, I know. But
they're not
well.
like that. No. The Shika deer is very different. Much smaller.
Whenever I faltered,
And
she would pick
they
up
don't
right
have that
where I
many
left off.
antlers.
She knew
Very
it all
big
by
antlers.
heart.
More like what we in Dutch call edelhert.
Look at that.
Maybe
With the
even a giant
blessing
deer, like in Ireland.
of the deer kami, bows can shoot up to 3 arrows at once if you have enough ammo.
So if you pet the deer kami,
Mhm.
you can.
If you pay your respects to the nature of the island, you are rewarded with more abilities in return. Look at them. Oh, see, there you go. I can pet them now. I can just pet them as much as I want.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah, I've been to Nara, and this isn't exactly what Japanese deer look like.
Yeah, basically half the size of this one.
I imagine that it would be difficult to animate correctly. Maybe they didn't have
they're
the...
much smaller. They're cute, but they're very obnoxious. The
Yeah.
Nara and Miyajima. Because basically they can get away with anything. And they're only interested in the crackers that you can feed.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a flower.
Nice.
Please!
Hello?
What's the matter?
I've been providing honey to local healers
Oh.
to help treat infected wounds.
Oh yeah,
Someone must
that's a
have informed the
thing.
Mongols.
You can
A large
use honey
group
to
heading this
disinfect
way.
wounds.
You should leave immediately.
Yeah, yes.
The original hive was damaged. These starter hives are all that's left.
Wait, do I need to go collect bees? Because that'd be awesome.
Why not try and get some bees?
Take shelter inside.
Thanks,
while I hold off the Mongols.
Angus.
Angry bees may be a help.
And also about your point about the Sakai clan.
Yeah, it's not a clan until much later, but it did exist eventually.
'Cause there's so many clans, basically.
Oh god, no, I have to fight Mongols, don't I? I think I've
Do
got
you?
to go and fight Mongols. Yep.
I thought you were going to get some...
No, his issue wasn't that he lost his beehives, but rather that he was being assailed by Mongols.
Okay, this is an interesting looking Mongol.
Okay, well, now it's a dead Mongol. Damn it! Oh, no! Oh, what? Hold on, what the... I do not like tripping whilst fighting. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm being assailed by bees.
Yeah, that's not good.
Okay. Oh, no, there's
But
more.
I have to say, I like how the Mongols are not cheating by... I mean, they're attacking him one by one, more or less. And they're not throwing any gunpowder bombs at him.
Well, they are lighting their swords on fire, if that makes
yeah,
you...
but you did that as well. Wow.
True. An eye for an eye. Oh, I'm dead.
No.
Yeah, I put the game on hard mode. And there is a shaman now.
Maybe shaman can cure you.
Well, she's doing quite the opposite.
Bee honey is very good against burns, I heard. So maybe you're in the right place at the right time.
Hold on, I'll just equip some different armor. That should probably help. Hold on.
Oh, so he's just on drugs now. Okay, that's good to know.
That's probably not the armor I want to be wearing. All right. Reduces enemy detection speed. No, that we don't need that. Ghost weapons.
I really like your little icon. What does that mean, that little icon? Can you tell me, Sophie? There's a little icon that people use with something that looks like an F.
Oh yeah, that's an F. If someone dies, you share an F in chat, and we've got a fancy F.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll talk to this poor man, and see if I can. Hello.
Okay, so I need to save the bee.
Yeah, we need to protect the bees.
To local healers to help treat infected
It's-
wounds.
See?
Someone
Treat
must have
infected
informed the
wounds.
Mongols.
Yeah, that's what I was
Group
commenting
heading
on
this
with the honey being used for that. But
They can't. The original hive was damaged.
there you
The
go.
starter
See,
hives are all that's left.
so he needs to stay here, and I need to protect him and
Sing to them sometimes.
kill his assailants, basically.
Take shelter inside while I hold off the Mongols.
But now I'm wearing my flying saucer hat, so I'm indefeatable.
Oh, okay, that's a good little detail to know.
Yeah, I mean that was just poetic license. I'm not at all undefeatable, sadly, but you know.
You caught a few extra weapons.
Oh god, they're so insanely strong. It's and why do they have bows? Stop it.
Are they throwing bombs now?
No, they've got bow and arrow, which they are showering me with.
Come on, Mongols, you can totally cheat and throw the bomb.
Oh, they will. One just threw a bomb at me,
Okay, that was a bomb.
but
No.
thank God I'm a samurai, so I can deflect arrows with my sword.
Oh, yeah, it seems, yeah.
Okay.
Because the Japanese had basically arrows as well, arrows and swords.
Yeah, I can throw bombs. Oh no.
Yes. Can you
Okay.
They also found the bombs in the underwater archaeology site, by the way, in Takashi.
Oh.
Found these little round. Of course, they were completely soaked. So the confirmation again that bombs depicted in the illustrated scrolls were not just poetic license, but real. The Mongols had bombs.
Oh no, it's the bees again.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can't you just throw the bees at the Mongols and have?
No, I mean
die
that
of
would
bee
beat
sting?
the purpose of protecting the bees, right?
Sorry.
Okay. Let's see if I can do a chain assassinate. Yes, excellent. Where is the other one? Come at me, bro.
Is he still hallucinating, or is he now cured?
No, right now I am completely lucid. When the screen starts getting all jiggly. Wait, hold on. Can I? I'll just throw a sticky bomb at him.
Oh, now he has bombs as well.
Yeah, I do. I have. That's the cool thing is that both the Mongols and Jin are stealing techniques from each other all the time.
Well, if he stole techniques from the Mongols, it's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
the
he-
Mongols had the upper hand there because they had better technology.
Mhm.
The poor, very old-fashioned samurai. That was sort of newfangled stuff for them. So that was not honourable for them.
Oh,
So
the
they
man.
complained a lot in
He
historical
wrote a
sources.
poem in our honor.
Noble honeybees, he defends our hives and queens. Do not sting him, please.
Uniquely inspired.
Suppose you can tell we don't get many visitors.
Well, thank you, sir. Oh, well. Wait, what does that mean?
That was very funny, actually. Oh dear.
Okay, hold on. What
Now you
does that
have
mean?
cat sanctuaries, and Hannah wanted cats, right? Everybody wanted cats.
Yeah, we're going to be looking for
We
more
need to have the
sanctuaries.
cats.
But hold on.
we
Let
need
me
cats.
let me just plunder these corpses first. Yeah.
Oh,
You would. Neat.
but again, it's so beautifully done.
Yeah. And honestly, this isn't even the most stunning part of the game. Okay, there we go. Put on my
I like
nibs.
that they're now showing the autumn leaves because the whole invasion was supposed to take part in the autumn, right? In November.
Yeah, but I mean at the Golden Sanctuary, everything. Look. Oh god.
Actually, November is still a really, really good time in Japan because
Yeah.
the weather is really nice. The autumn leaves are spectacular. It's nothing like the Dutch. We have soggy autumn. Japanese autumn is spectacular. It's really pleasant, really nice temperature, and red, yellow, colors that we don't get, honestly. Orange.
Okay. So
Nothing like it in the Netherlands. It's more like the Canadian, you know, the Canadian maple autumns. I've never been, but I've seen the pictures. It's
So I
gorgeous.
think that this spot I think you can't see it all that well on the big screen, I'm afraid, because of the reflection of all the light. But here you can see behind us, we've got a golden autumn.
Nice.
And then in front of us, you can see the cherry blossom trees on the horizon.
No.
Yeah, and then over there you've got
Yes.
white, I think they're flowers. So all seasons are happening at once.
Are we having some very picturesque snow somewhere?
That is all the way in the north of Tsushima.
Okay. Well, even so, I mean, Tsushima, basically, it's really in the southern area, and it would be hot, you know. It would be warmer. Kyushu is quite warm. It's almost subtropical, and especially in summer, it's extremely. It really takes some getting used to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, hey,
Very hot, very
Paris.
humid.
Welcome in chat, and yes, as usual, Ghost of Tsushima is absolutely stunning.
Oh God. Well,
Show me your skill.
let's go.
Oh, I think we need to get some cats before we have to close. We really need that.
Yeah, I also don't want to die if you don't mind.
I'm sorry. I think the esteemed guests want cats.
Oh, we're at a sanctuary, actually. God, no, they do damage too. Oh, no, the dogs.
They're dogs?
They're dogs. Oh, jeez. Oh, God, and I can barely block them. That's an issue. Oh, I died. Oh, well.
Oh.
At least the Mongols will now be gone from the shrine, so that's neat.
That's good.
Oh, no, they're still there. Never mind. I've literally nothing to assail them with, which is...
I don't think that Mongols would be so unwise to anger other people's gods.
You think
Being
that
very
would they pay heed to the potential? Jesus, stop! I'm sorry. I should probably take out the Mongol. Oh no 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 no. I'm not going to make this. God, I need stuff. I need. But they're all so strong because of the bloody shaman.
Oh, do we see a shaman here?
Yeah, you can see them in the background. They're wearing antlers and they're making this repeated chanting gesture. I'll see if I can maybe shoot them from afar. Hold on.
They don't have handheld drums?
There we go. That'll do it. Oh, I missed the shaman apparently. That sucks. Oh, come on. Ooh, no, I am going to die. I'm dead. I want to find some cats.
Yeah, and somehow I didn't even see the dogs. I just saw red dots or something.
Okay, that's the shaman. Let's take aim and boom, there we go. They're really strong though, that's
I also like the fact that they include shamans. I just want them to look more like shaman.
Yeah, we took out the shaman.
And have at least a handheld drum and a sing or something.
Okay. Oh, I think some of the shamans do carry drums, by the way. Woo! Oh, thanks for the subscribe, Morgan Oliver. Oh, got it. Oh, nope. I went down again. They're strong as heck. I probably shouldn't have put the difficulty on hard. But we got this. I can do this. It's fine. I'm fine. It's okay. Where did the shaman go?
And these are the bombs, right?
Yeah, except this time I've tied them to my arrowheads, so... we didn't manage to kill the shaman again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shamans are tricky.
Oh, they 100% are. Hold on. Okay. That takes care of the shaman, that's... Ooh. That was close. Oh boy. Wait, was that all of them? Oh, we did it. Okay.
They killed the shaman.
I killed the shaman, yeah.
Really?
We can play the flute for the cats.
Despite the violence.
Right, yes, we need some cats. I think
there we go.
The
There is a
audience
cat.
all agrees that we need to see some cats. Where's the cat? I can't see the cat.
It's drawing closer, provided that I play the flute correctly.
The camera's in the way.
Okay.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
Look,
It is a leopard cat.
It
they
is.
really made the effort to make the wild leopard cat. Well done, game makers. Of course, it belongs on Tsushima, not Iki, but doesn't matter. It's a wild leopard cat. I'm proud of you.
We made it.
Dried melons. Then lied to my father and said we'd studied
More
all
cats, yes.
She told
More
me
cats.
sometimes living is
More cats are always better.
Yeah.
El Gato, yeah. Wonderful. Feels like a sanctuary again. So basically what you do by playing the flute is you purify the sanctuary from the sacrilege that the Mongols have been exacting on it.
Yeah. Basically, in Shinto, blood is really bad. Blood is defiling. So, yeah, you don't want to get any blood on the sanctuary. Oh, that is an adorable cat. So, let's make sure we stay here for a little bit. I want to pet the cats.
This is so wonderful. This is such a great addition to an already brilliant game.
That's a really nice touch. So they really made them look like the wild leopard cats.
Yeah.
So this is the wild cat of...
Hello, can I pet you too, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
So,
oh, this is so nice. This is so quaint, so wholesome.
yeah, this is very wholesome. I like it. Of course, in the real life, wild cats are
Aren't all that
notoriously afraid
friendly,
of
yeah.
humans because they're actually smart. But yeah, that was really cute.
That was amazing. I see a lot of people in chat sharing some excellent cat emojis
That was
as
a
well.
really good cat moment.
I had to die like only 5 times or something to get there.
Worth it.
Absolutely.
It's worth it.
Everything. What do you call these again? These vines that usurp the entire. I think they're yuzu vines or something. They're
I'm
real.
not sure I've actually seen them in Japan, but then again, I've
Yeah,
never
no, they are.
actually been.
It's the Japanese something vine, and it's when it ends up outside of Japan, it's a real menace because there's no natural.
Kuzu or something?
Kuzu,
You mean
yeah.
The vines on the floor, you mean?
Yeah, and they're overgrowing everything.
If it's kuzu arrowroot, I think you can actually even eat it for starch.
Yeah. I think that's one of the campaigns they're running now to make sure that local people.
Arrowroot is actually supposed to be very healthy.
Oh.
For something. I can't remember what, but this was definitely something that prehistoric people...
I always love it when people leave their smoke bombs behind so I can just pick them up.
Maybe you can show people what the smoke bomb looks like. So it's the smoke bomb is supposed to be this hollow ceramic container.
Oh no, that's the gun. That's the.
gunpowder.
Hold on, let me see if I can take it out for you.
Gunpowder. The gunpowder.
So this is it. This is the smoke bomb.
And they found them at the Takashima underwater archaeology. I can't quite place that. But
this is a sticky bomb, a pitch-covered bomb that sticks to an enemy before exploding.
Very nice. It looks very realistic.
And then this is a legendary technique. So this is something you get by completing a legendary tale and learning to set your blade on fire.
But the little ball that is actually historic.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for the people who weren't here in the beginning, this is actually depicted. An exploding bomb is depicted on an early illustrated scroll from this period. And it was made just a few years after the wars by a very ambitious samurai who actually completely ignored what his superior was telling him. Superior was telling him to withdraw, but he engaged the Mongols anyway because he wanted glory. So he made a name for himself. He sold all his horses and his saddles so he could go to the court in Kamakura and tell the shogun in person how wonderful his deeds were. So he give him a report and tell him about his valor. And then when he came back, he donated the illustrated scrolls to a Shinto shrine, his local gods.
I've shared the Wikipedia article in chat again.
So and nowadays it's actually kept, the original scroll is kept at the Imperial Palace Museum. And of course, through the time. Many copies have been made. So if you look at Wikipedia, some of them are more yellowish and some of them are more bluish. And the reason is that copies were made, I think, in the 18th century, 19th century, because it's such an important historical source. But the original is kept in the Imperial Palace.
Ooh, oh, there's a golden bird. So
nice.
These are. I'm not sure to what extent they carry the same value in actual Japanese culture, but in the game they are said to be divine messengers, and one of them showed up at Jin's birth, and now they guide you to spots of interest in the landscape. That can be quests, that can be hot springs, that can be special items. So when you see a golden bird, you follow it. And look at that.
I don't think there's actually a word like that in
what?
Japanese
What is this?
fauna. So it must be definitely a magical.
A memory of anguish?
Huh?
Yeah, apparently this is a memory of anguish.
Oh no.
I don't know what that means.
But the deer is cute.
Oh, it's a grave site, I think, judging by the...
Well, that is a banner. That is a banner.
No.
for
Looking to the left. You can't see it all that well on the. Wait, hold up. I can fix this. There we go. So if I.
Gravesite, because yes, there are supposed to be burial mounds on the island.
It's a very
Many
small
archaeological
burial
sites.
mound, but I'm trying to highlight it for you so we can actually see it. Let me just get the lighting right, and the weather is clear. There we go. Let's see if we can get ourselves some. See, it's hold on. There you go. See, it's a small mound.
Right. Okay.
A bit of a makeshift recent burial, I would assume. Oh, I can remember the past here. Okay. Well, let's not dive into that because it's we've
It's
got
sad,
two.
Right? His friends got murdered, I suppose.
Well, I mean, these are his father was killed in front of his eyes after invading Iki Island to prevent an uprising from going all the way through. But since we've only got 2 minutes left of the stream, I'm not starting.
No, that would be too much.
But oh
And
god,
so
this
the
game is
white deer is not significant here?
Oh, it is. I mean, I'm assuming it has, since it's marking this spot of remembrance, it's to add to the sense of mystique, I would assume. And
Maybe
I
you
think
should pet it. Maybe you will
I
get
can't.
no?
I can't because it's not
Not
a
allowed
deer
to pet
shrine. You can only pet animals near shrines, sadly.
Okay.
But there's a beautiful, I mean, it's a beautiful spot, and look at the sky. Oh, it's so beautiful. However, having said that, I think it's about time we start wrapping up. It's been quite the journey. You had an amazing amount of things to share about the historical, the cultural, the archaeological context of the game. It was great fun. Thank you.
Shared a bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, more information is always welcome. So, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Dr. Bausch, for joining us. Thank you for facilitating my Ghost of Tsushima addiction. That was wonderful. Oh, Hannah has apparently...
Yes.
Hannah has reviewed the stream, saying that the funniest moment was Jin in his bare bum with his basket helmet.
I agree with Hannah. That was hilarious. But
Yeah,
the game
absolutely.
is very beautiful. I greatly enjoyed being here and sharing this with you all. And thank you all for indulging me talking a lot about archaeology. And yeah, this is really beautiful game. And now I really want to go not only back to Japan, which I've been waiting for 2.5 years now, but yeah, if I have a chance, I really want to go to see Tsushima and see how it measures up to reality.
Well, to those of you who haven't heard me gush about it before, because the game is very much a gamified version of Tsushima in the sense, for example, that Tsushima in the 13th century would have mostly been covered by forest rather than the varied ecosystem we see here. But you can see the impact the game has had on the real world in the sense that Etori Gate was destroyed by a storm recently, and then people from all over the world chipped in on a money gathering campaign. I can't find the word, I'm sorry, to aid in the reconstruction of said gate, and they even put up a stone to honor all the backers of said campaign, which is pretty cool, you know, because
games matter. They're a form of art, and they can bring people together to exact change for the better on this world. Anyway. Thanks for watching, and thanks for joining in. I hope you learned something. If you are new to the channel, consider following us if you want to see more of what we do. We play historical D&D campaigns if you're into that kind of stuff. The project is nearing its end, sadly, but there is some more Assassin's Creed to be played, some more indie titles to be played. Next week we will be back with Nina playing something on Wednesday, so if you're curious as to what that will be, tune in. On Thursday we'll be playing our Beowulf campaign, and on Friday I'll probably be taking a leap of faith into Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which takes place in Victorian London. Yeah, and trumpets aren't working for some reason. I do not know why. But it's been great. It was a trip. Again, my apologies for the screw up with the wrong disc being in my PS4 and me having to cycle back at 25 kilometers per hour to fetch it. I'm sure you enjoyed Dr. Bausch's stand-in ramble on everything archaeology and Japan. Oh, you heard them. I guess there's no problem with the trumpets then. But thanks for watching. Give us a follow. Maybe even subscribe if you're feeling feisty. See you all next time. Enjoy your weekends. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Most importantly, stay funky. And that was it for tonight. Goodbye.